Tonight, we invite you on a tranquil journey to an island shrouded in mystery, where the Sirens' enchanting voices await. In the tale of the Sirens' enchanting lullaby, you'll discover how Odysseus, with wisdom and courage, skillfully sailed past their irresistible call. As you settle in, and let the day's cares gently fade away, prepare to be lulled by timeless myth and whispered lore. Let the soothing sounds guide you to a place of rest. And now, let the tale unfold. At the break of dawn, the sky was a muted tapestry of gray and silver, the kind of serene morning that matched the deep reflections stirring within Odysseus. As he stood at the prow of his ship, the vast open waters of the Aegean Sea stretched before him, an endless path leading him back to Ithaca, his cherished home. A longing anchored within him, a yearning for peaceful days and familiar shores. Odysseus, lauded for his cleverness and tenacity, found his thoughts lingering on the many challenges that had tempered his wisdom over the years. Below deck, the crew moved with a quiet determination, readying the ship with practiced hands. The camaraderie among them wore the weary sheen of shared experiences, mariners forged in the crucible of perils past. As they hoisted sails and secured ropes, a gentle anticipation imbued their every movement, knowing this journey was yet another step towards reuniting with their distant homelands. Each man harbored his own memories of the trials they had faced, and the hope of a journey's end imbued their actions with purpose. As the morning unfolded, the ship glided gracefully onto the tranquil waters. The Aegean, despite its vastness, seemed calm and welcoming today, a silver-blue expanse beneath an overcast sky. Odysseus peered across the horizon, reflecting on the events that had brought him to this pivotal point. The missteps, the victories, the mythical encounters that had all contributed to the wisdom he wielded like a well-honed sword. His experiences with giants and sorceresses, battles fought with both wit and might, formed the mosaic of knowledge guiding him now. Among the critical lessons nestled in his mind was the forewarning of Circe, the mystical enchantress who once advised him on navigating these treacherous waters. Her cautionary words echoed through his thoughts, a warning about the sirens and their alluring song, a beguiling melody meant to ensnare those who sailed too close. It wasn't fear that gripped Odysseus as he retraced Circe's counsel, but rather a cautious respect for the dangers that lay hidden within the seemingly serene facade of the sea. Gathering his crew, Odysseus stood amidships, a steady figure radiating calm foresight. His voice was steady as he recounted the wisdom Circe bestowed upon him, detailing the Sirens' perilous draw. He outlined his plan with clarity, a testament to his leadership forged in the fires of adversity. The Sirens, he reminded them, would ensnare the hearts and minds of those enthralled by their song, but with preparation and mindfulness, their ship could safely bypass the threats these mythical creatures posed. The crew listened intently, their expressions a mixture of earnest attention and quiet resolve. These men knew well the value of foresight and unity, each prepared to play their part in ensuring their collective safety. With a chorus of nods and murmurs of assent, they pledged their loyalty to Odysseus's plan, trusting in the cautious wisdom that had steered them through countless trials thus far. This pledge was not merely one of obedience, but a binding contract of faith between them and their captain, cementing their resolve against the coming temptations. With plans set and hearts fortified, Odysseus and his crew faced forward, the ship cutting a determined path through the placid waters. Though silence reigned, a silence laced with the shared anticipation of the journey ahead, it was underlined by the quiet hum of readiness. As their vessel steadily sailed towards the misty horizon, Odysseus felt the familiar blend of tension and hope, a tangible reminder that wisdom, tempered with caution, carved the pathway back to Ithaca. As the day progressed into a gentle twilight, the sea began to exhibit subtle changes that did not go unnoticed by Odysseus and his vigilant crew. The once placid waves now carried a faint but palpable tension, as if aware of the looming challenge. It was an almost imperceptible shift, yet those on the ship could sense a difference in the water's pull and the whispering wind that guided them onwards. Before long, a distant shape began to take form amid the Aegean mist, a faint outline of what could only be an island emerging through the shroud of fog that clung to the horizon. As the ship moved steadily closer, the island seemed to grow, its form slowly shedding the vagueness of distance. The crew exchanged quiet glances, each aware of the stories that had warned of such places, where the sea itself conspired to entrap unwary voyagers with promises of wonder. From this mysterious isle came sounds almost too delicate for mortal ears, drifting across the surface of the ocean in melodic whispers. These were no ordinary noises. There was an ethereal quality to them, as if song and sea had become one. Yet, beneath their beauty lay the seed of peril, a sweet temptation reaching out to ensnare those who dared to listen too closely. The sound blended with the soft push and pull of waves, an enchanting prelude setting the stage for those who neared its source. Odysseus himself was not immune to this allure. As the music reached him, an unsettled part of his mind strained toward the melody, curious and tempted by the unknown promises whispered within. Memories of home tugged at his heart, promising a rest that had been denied to him for so long. Here, whispering temptation provoked his curiosity, challenging the resolve forged through wisdom and experience. Aware of this danger, Odysseus called upon Circe's invaluable counsel, which echoed in his mind with growing urgency. Her voice seemed to carry through the windless air, warning of the fatal charm possessed by the Sirens. These mysterious beings could enchant any man with their voices, drawing him to his doom. Circe's wisdom, imparted with the weight of knowledge, guided him now as he stood on the brink of this ancient trial. Determined to protect his crew, Odysseus gave the command for the beeswax to be brought forth, a vital ally in their defense. Each crew member carefully softened and molded the wax before placing it into their ears, a cautionary shield against the beguiling music now growing clearer across the sea. They executed this task with the solemn gravity of those who understood their own vulnerability. But Odysseus, ever the seeker of knowledge and experience, recognized an opportunity to witness the Sirens' song for himself without succumbing to their snare. He resolved to do so safely, adhering to Circe's directions by ordering his men to lash him securely to the ship's mast. Bound by strong ropes, he made clear his intention not to be freed, no matter how fervently he might later plead. Thus prepared, the ship sailed forward, its crew deaf to the burgeoning melody that filled the evening air. They maintained their focus on the tasks at hand, trusting in their leader's plan to ensure their passage was not at the expense of their lives. All the while, Odysseus stood at the mast, ready to face the mesmerizing call of the Sirens with awareness and restraint. A calm confidence settled upon the ship as the island drew nearer, neither perilous rocks nor enchanting song disturbing their tranquil vessel. Under the fading light of the eternal twilight, Odysseus and his crew moved ever closer to the fated encounter, prepared for the test and guided by wisdom, a wisdom that promised safe passage through temptation's alluring guise. As the gentle waves lapped against the wooden hull, Odysseus brought his crew together to outline the next step in their journey, a step both crafted from wisdom and wrapped in danger. He had pondered long over Circe's counsel, and now gathered his loyal sailors, solemnly declaring his intent to hear the song of the Sirens. "Bind me to the mast," he instructed, his voice steady and resolute. The crew, understanding the seriousness of the task, listened with rapt attention as Odysseus elaborated on the method behind this curious request. The importance of restraint in the face of the Sirens' enchanting voices was not only prudent but necessary for their survival. As they worked, the crew's hands were deliberate yet gentle, ensuring Odysseus' bonds would hold firm against his anticipated struggles. Ropes were looped tightly around him, crossing his chest and arms, tethering him securely to the ship's mast. There was a methodical rhythm to their actions, each knot a testament to their trust in Odysseus's wisdom and their own commitment to their shared journey home. Once Odysseus was secure, the crew turned their attention to the beeswax entrusted to them, a crucial element of their defensive plan. Each sailor took a small piece of soft wax, warming it between their hands before placing it carefully in their ears. They checked on one another, nodding as each seal was deemed sufficient to ward off the chiming allure soon to spill across the waters. In these quiet moments of preparation, the bond between leader and crew was evident, each person playing their part in the calculated choreography of survival. Ready and alert, Odysseus gave a comforting nod to his crew. This simple gesture, an unspoken vow of trust and unity, steadied their hearts as they steered closer to the beckoning island. The air around them seemed to still, as if the atmosphere itself held a collective breath in anticipation of the Sirens' song. The ship moved with deliberate caution, its wooden frame creaking softly with each wave. Then, as if the very sea hummed to life, the first notes of the Sirens' song danced over the water. The melody was exquisite and haunting, a tapestry of sound that promised sweetness and fulfillment. Odysseus felt the music wrap around him, a silken thread weaving desire and longing into his very fiber. Compelled by the enchanting harmony, he leaned against his restraints, his mind momentarily lost in the seductive prose of the Siren's voice. Each note seemed crafted to stir a deeper longing. However, the crew remained undistracted. With their ears safely plugged, they focused intently on the horizon, their task clear and minds guarded against distraction. Their steadfast determination was an embodiment of their faith in the plan, unwavering even as Odysseus, bound and straining, gave voice to the pull of the melodic temptations that he alone could serve others. Here, time slowed, the brief passage imbued with tension and challenge, yet the crew's resolve stood unyielding against the threat. Guided by Odysseus' foresight and their mutual reliance, they sailed onwards. Even as Odysseus's struggles intensified with the rising tide of the Sirens' call, the course of the ship remained unbroken, charted safely past the reach of the island's enchanting peril. Odysseus' plan was executed to perfection. A sense of purpose guided them through this trial, a quiet affirmation of the wisdom that underscored their journey. The siren songs faded, their allure lost to the distance as the ship pressed on. The comfort of Ithaca, a steady whisper upon the horizon. The tranquil yet tense atmosphere aboard Odysseus' ship belied the profound struggle that awaited. As the sun dipped towards the horizon, a gentle drizzle began to fall, creating a silvery curtain that shimmered softly against the ship's sides. The Sirens, enigmatic and ethereal, began their enchanting serenade from the misty island now receding behind the vessel. Their voices, a harmonious blend of captivating beauty and potent danger, were crafted to ensnare the hearts of sailors who dared sail too close. Odysseus, secured firmly to the mast by unyielding bonds of rope, felt the Sirens' exquisite melody weave through the air. Each note, a tender whisper and a sonorous call, reached into the depths of his soul, stirring desires and unearthing memories he had long kept buried. The allure of the Sirens was both intoxicating and inescapable, a compelling force that sought to shatter his resolve and lure him into their embrace. Feelings of longing mingled with the sweet sorrow of unfulfilled desires, elevating the intensity of his internal battle. Overcome by yearning and the overwhelming desire to succumb to the Sirens' call, Odysseus cried out in desperation. His voice, filled with both anguish and resolve, echoed across the deck. Yet the words were barely perceptible to his crew, who remained steadfast with beeswax in their ears, an impenetrable shield against the Sirens' enticement. Bound by their loyalty to Odysseus's instructions and aware of the deadly consequences that could ensue, they ignored his entreaties for release and continued to row, their movements synchronized and determined. As the ship progressed steadily onward, untethered by the dissonance of temptation, the crew's unwavering loyalty became a bulwark against the Sirens' deadly allure. The sails drew a gentle swell of wind, guiding them past the rocky shores without falter. Odysseus, amidst his internal chaos, witnessed the ship's peaceful advance, realizing the fragility of desire and the strength of wisdom. Each moment they sailed away from the island, the voices of the Sirens faded further, diminishing in potency until they were no more than a distant memory. Odysseus reflected on the narrow escape, each note of their song a reminder of the precarious nature of succumbing to temptation and its potential for ruin. He understood the delicate balance between longing and reason, and how easily one could tip toward peril without the guidance of sound judgment. This experience, though painful, became a testament to the wisdom passed down by Circe and his own ability to conceive a clever plan for survival. As the island grew smaller and more obscure in the mist, Odysseus's heart filled with gratitude. This gratitude was twofold. Firstly, for the steadfastness of his crew, whose loyalty and bravery were unparalleled, and secondly, for the foresight that had preserved them against such peril. With the looming threat now behind them, the serenity of the moment allowed for reflection and appreciation of their collective triumph against the Sirens' enchanting yet deadly song. The rain continued its gentle descent upon the deck as dusk enveloped the horizon, painting a picture of deep blue and silvery gray. As Odysseus looked back one last time over the waters, he understood that while the Sirens had not claimed him or his men, they had imparted an invaluable lesson: the importance of wisdom over desire, and of caution over impetuosity. His heart steady and his purpose reaffirmed, Odysseus turned his thoughts back toward home. The night's onset brought a soothing calm as the ship sailed forth, its course once again set towards the promise of Ithaca. Having navigated through the alluring danger of the Sirens, Odysseus and his crew could now return their focus to the journey that lay ahead, its challenges, its adventures, and the serene hope of the life that awaited them upon their return. After the dramatic encounter with the Sirens, a serene calmness settled over Odysseus and his crew as they sailed away from the enchanting island. The sky, now darkening with a steady drizzle, mirrored the gentle release of tension that pervaded the crew. In a moment of shared relief, Odysseus allowed himself a rare smile, a gesture of acknowledgement to his companions for their unwavering loyalty and bravery during the intense trial they had just faced. The mood shifted subtly as the reality of their escape sank in, replacing the earlier trepidation with a profound sense of accomplishment. Odysseus addressed his companions, his voice carrying the weight of gratitude and admiration. He acknowledged the bravery each man had shown, defying the alluring call of the Sirens and remaining true to their mission. Their eyes met his, reflecting the same dedication, binding them tighter in their shared pursuit of home. Amidst the soft whisperings of the waves and the gentle rhythm of the rain, Odysseus's thoughts drifted to the nature of temptation and its beguiling illusions. The Sirens personified a perilous allure, a deceptive promise that would have led them to ruin had they not exercised caution and wisdom. He pondered this silently, understanding that temptation often wore the mask of beauty, hiding dangers beneath its gilded promises. In his reflections, Odysseus could not help but recall Circe's invaluable guidance, which had been instrumental in their successful navigation of peril. Her sage advice had encouraged him to take the necessary precautions against the Sirens' song. As the ship swayed gently under the heavens, he realized the importance of heeding wise counsel, a realization that fortified his resolve and elevated his understanding of leadership. The importance of wisdom and caution now solidified firmly in his mind. Odysseus recognized that these virtues had steered him not only from physical dangers, but also from the seductive threats that sought to deter him from his path. This episode with the Sirens reinforced his belief in the value of foresight and discernment, qualities that would be crucial as they continued their journey across the uncharted waters of the Aegean Sea. Gathering his crew around him, Odysseus shared insights and stories, recounting lessons from past encounters and this latest triumph over cunning temptation. He spoke of patience and the strength found in unity, encouraging his men to hold on to these lessons as they faced future challenges. They listened intently, the warmth of camaraderie banishing the lingering chill in the night air. As the steady drizzle veiled their vessel, a renewed commitment to their journey emerged among the men. United by shared hardship and fortified by hard-earned wisdom, they collectively resolved to face whatever lay ahead with courage and determination. Each man reaffirmed his part in the mission, driven by the conviction that their odyssey was a shared endeavor, one that they would see through to its triumphant conclusion. The ship continued on its night path, silhouetted against the rolling dark clouds that promised both challenges and opportunities. Odysseus, standing by the mast, felt the gentle tug of the past behind him and the promising pull of the future ahead. It was as though the Sirens' encounter had prompted an inner awakening, sharpening his vision and resolving his mind to the overarching purpose of their quest. As the night wore on, the comforting lull of the ship lulled the weary sailors, each man finding solace in the understanding that they had survived yet another test. For Odysseus, the serene night was a reminder of the necessity to remain vigilant, yet hopeful as the journey continued. The chapter closed with the ship resiliently cutting through the waters, the peacefulness of the moment punctuated by the lessons learned and the dreams of Ithaca that lay just beyond the horizon. As dawn's gentle hues began to paint the horizon, Odysseus and his crew resumed their voyage with renewed determination. The calm that enveloped the ship the night before persisted, though the weather around them displayed the capricious nature of the sea. Their vessel rode the undulating waves with a practiced grace, the men moving about the deck with quiet purpose. Their recent brush with the Sirens had sharpened not only their resolve but also their awareness of the subtle dangers that the ocean could hide. Navigating the open sea required both skill and patience. Odysseus began his day discussing their course with his trusted navigator. Maps and stars served as their guides in this vast expanse without marked roads. Together, they pored over the charts, plotting a path that would steer them clear of known obstacles. Odysseus' voice was calm and assured, a balm against uncertainty. His mind frequently wandered to memories of their past voyages, extracting valuable lessons that now informed his judgments. Despite their careful plotting, the sea remained an unpredictable master. Their peaceful journey was suddenly interrupted by a shift in the wind, a subtle yet swift turn that set the ship slightly off its intended course. The sails flapped and strained against the changing breeze, prompting swift, decisive action from Odysseus and his men. Quiet commands and synchronized movements on deck soon had the ship stabilizing, their collective experience forging a path through the unforeseen challenge. Odysseus' thoughts often retreated to experiences and knowledge earned from years of journeying. He recalled past encounters not only with mythical beasts, but also with the natural elements that had attempted to steer him off course. These memories were like old friends, whispering wisdom from past triumphs and failures alike. Each recollection became a tool, reshaped and reapplied to guide the decisions his crew would make throughout the day. Their voyage offered no shortage of minor challenges, one of which soon arose in the form of curious sea creatures. As they glided through a patch of open water, a school of dolphins emerged, leaping gracefully alongside the ship. While the creatures were not a direct threat, their presence posed a navigational consideration, requiring careful steering to avoid alarming the animals and risking any disruption in their path. The crew, well trained in handling such distractions, watched with amused respect even as they ensured the ship stayed its course. The landscape of the sea itself held its own trials, with rocky passages that required precision and strategic thinking to traverse safely. Approaching a particularly craggy section, Odysseus directed the ship through these natural obstacles with the expertise of a seasoned helmsman. The crew's seamless execution of orders mirrored the discipline and unity forged through shared trials. Focused consciousness was palpable among the men, their actions flowing like a well-rehearsed symphony. Throughout these adventures, the crew continually applied the wisdom gleaned from their encounter with the Sirens. The resilience they had found in resisting temptation translated into calm and collected reactions to the sea's own temptations of fear and distraction. Odysseus had imparted upon them the necessity of a steady mind, one that would not flutter in the face of alluring dangers or unexpected trials. This mindset infused their actions with an unshakable foundation, much like the ship itself cutting through the rolling waves. As the day progressed, the challenges they faced knit the bonds among the crew tighter still. Always Odysseus guided them not with the bluster of his voice, but rather through the quiet strength of presence and example. Each member of the crew felt as though they were not just players in this journey, but essential guardians of its success. Their confidence renewed, they continued their path upon the wide, unending azure expanse. The horizon stretched before them as a canvas upon which their journey would be painted by both choice and chance. As they pressed on, the echoes of past experiences likely lingered fresh in their minds, guiding their actions and shaping their resolve for whatever lay ahead. This resilience, honed against the lessons of both myth and reality, readied them for another chapter in their voyage. Odysseus stood at the helm of his ship as dark clouds gathered on the horizon, signaling the approach of a looming storm. The air was thick with anticipation, and the crew looked to their leader for assurance and direction. Calmly, with a steady resolve, Odysseus began to distribute tasks, ensuring that each crew member knew their role in the coming challenge. His voice was measured and confident, instilling trust and focus within his faithful companions. The crew members tightened ropes, adjusted sails, and prepared for the tempest with the methodical precision born from years of seafaring. As the rain began to pour and the winds whipped around them with increasing fury, their ship lurched and swayed against the relentless might of the sea. Yet because of their careful preparation, each man knew what was expected of him. Odysseus's leadership shone through the chaos. His presence was a beacon of calm. With clarity and strength, he directed the crew to pivot against the fiercest gusts, leaving no room for panic or despair. Each fierce wave that crashed against the bow was met with diligent focus and coordinated effort. The rain hammered down in sheets, soaking every sailor to the bone. But a profound spirit of endurance emerged amongst the crew, unyielding amidst nature's fury. Odysseus remained a steadfast figure, guiding them with a steady hand and mindful heart. In that swirling storm, past experiences, particularly their encounter with the Sirens, served as a vital touchstone. Odysseus, understanding the power of past lessons, reminded himself and his men of the prior trials they faced. The memory of their wisdom, exercised in moments of grave peril, empowered them to meet this current adversity with skillful determination. They persisted, using the knowledge gained from surviving the Sirens' tempting calls to navigate these ferocious elements. During brief pauses in the tempest, when the winds lulled momentarily, stories of heroism and bravery were shared amongst the crew. These tales, reminiscent of ancient battles and courageous feats, stirred a collective spirit of tenacity. By sharing such narratives, Odysseus and his men fortified their resolve, cementing their shared belief that they could weather any storm together, just as they had survived past perils beyond reach of mortal ear. The brunt of the storm tested not just their skills, but but also their morale. In these relentless conditions, Odysseus knew that the human spirit was just as essential a tool as the physical strength of his men or the sturdiness of their vessel. Joyous accounts of past victories and adventures brought a necessary light to their persistence, and with each heartening word, the rough edges of their fears were softened. As the storm began to lose its ferocity and the heavens ceased their bombardment, Odysseus took the time to confer with his navigator and assess their course anew. The storms had changed the ocean's map, demanded fresh strategies, and necessitated a clear eye to plot what lay ahead. The open sea offered no certainty, only the possibility of discovery or danger, but Odysseus, with wisdom as his unfaltering guide, remained ever vigilant in his evaluation of their journey. Their ship, battle-worn from nature's fury, now glided more serenely over the still choppy waters. A gentle promise of dawn's early light hinted at the horizon, a passage from night to day, assuring them of their survival and hard-earned passage through perilous waters. Dawn would soon offer fresh hope, a canvas of new horizons for Odysseus and his crew to chase, buoyed by the strength tested and affirmed in dark hours. One by one, the crew readied themselves for the continuation of their voyage. With renewed determination, they embraced the dawn that broke over the horizon. This was a new day, born of the closeness forged by shared trial and tempered by the enduring spirit of their captain. With the storm now a memory, a profound stillness embraced the sea, transforming the once raging waters into a tranquil expanse. The ship, weathered but steadfast, glided smoothly over the silver-blue waves. A soft morning light cast a gentle glow upon the crew, who took a moment to soak in the peace that had followed the tempest, each sailor silently grounding themselves in this moment of reprieve. Having weathered the storm's fury, the men gathered on deck, exchanging nods and faint smiles. These expressions, subtle yet filled with understanding, spoke volumes about the bond forged through shared adversity. They had faced the wrath of nature and had emerged enduring and united, their spirits mirroring the renewed calm that surrounded them. With the storm behind them, camaraderie was palpable, relationships forged stronger, like the tempered steel of their ship. Odysseus, ever mindful of their course, convened with his navigator to reassess their journey. Standing by the helm, he observed the tranquil sea stretching out to the horizon, the assurance of calm waters ahead. A map lay unfurled between them, its ancient markings guiding their path. Together, they charted a course towards home, each line drawn a step closer to Ithaca, each waypoint marked a reflection of challenges overcome. Reflecting on the recent challenges, Odysseus recalled the terrors they had braved. The sirens with voices as smooth as polished stones, the storm's howling fury, and the dangers lurking beneath the waves. Each obstacle had been a unique trial, a testament to their resolve. These reflections were not mere musings but lessons woven into the fabric of their odyssey, reinforcing the wisdom and resilience that had seen them through. Gathering his crew around him, Odysseus lauded their bravery and unwavering loyalty. His words were steady and sincere, an acknowledgement of their courage in the face of adversity. The men listened intently, their weathered faces lit with pride and respect. Together, they had confronted nature's might and emerged unbroken. The air was filled with a renewed sense of purpose, underscoring the collective strength that had carried them this far. With their spirits buoyed, the crew turned their attention to the plans for the next phase of their journey. Each task was discussed and delegated, ensuring that every hand on deck knew their part. The ship, now renewed in purpose, seemed to echo the commitment of its crew, prepared to carry them safely through whatever lay ahead. The sea, calm and inviting, mirrored their readiness and determination. Odysseus felt a deep appreciation for the unity and dedication of his companions. Each man was bound to the other by more than the ropes and sails of their vessel, bound by trust and shared hardship. This newfound appreciation filled him with gratitude, elevating their bond to something far greater than mere companionship. Their unity was as unfaltering as the starry night sky that had so often guided them. In these moments of calm, they recalled the vital lessons learned. The sirens they now knew were not just creatures of lore but embodiments of temptation, realities to be navigated with caution and wisdom. The storms, unpredictable yet predictable in their indifference, demanded respect and readiness. These realizations were instrumental in shaping their outlook, reinforcing the importance of every challenge faced. With the sea's promise of serenity unfolding before them, they collectively reaffirmed their dedication to reaching Ithaca. The journey, though daunting, held the promise of home, their shared memories and determination guiding them like celestial beacons. Hearts filled with hope, they sailed forth, knowing that each day brought them closer to the familiar shores of Ithaca. The morning light bathed the vessel in warmth, a symbol of renewal, perseverance, and a future glimpsed in the journey's distance. As they sailed beneath the softened gray sky, Odysseus and his crew carried with them the assurance that each challenge faced was a step toward the fulfillment of destiny. They pressed onward, united by purpose, emboldened by unity, and guided by the stars. After days of sailing through tumultuous weather and battling fierce winds, Odysseus and his crew found themselves in a rare state of tranquility. The Aegean Sea had finally calmed, and the only sound was the gentle whisper of the waves against the ship's hull. The day was uneventful, allowing the weary sailors a chance to rest and recover their spirits. Odysseus took this opportunity to gather his crew on the deck, seeking to nurture the bonds that had grown between them through shared trials and triumphs. The sun began to dip below the horizon, casting a golden sheen on the smooth surface of the water, and a sense of serenity settled over the ship. In this piece, Odysseus began to share tales of his past adventures, stories that resonated with the rich tapestry of their own journey. Drawing from his clever escapades and perilous ordeals, he relayed the tales with wisdom and reflection. From their encounters with the formidable Cyclops to the cunning escape from the grasp of Circe, each story served not only to entertain, but to impart valuable lessons learned. His crew listened intently, aware of the depth of experience behind his words, which now seemed as precious as the starlit sky above. As their captain spoke of his own exploits, the sailors were inspired to share their own stories. Voices of longing and nostalgia filled the air as crew members recounted memories of their families and the lives they had left behind in pursuit of glory and duty. Some spoke of children whose laughter they missed, while others remembered fields of olive trees swaying in the gentle breezes of their native lands. In these shared moments, a powerful sense of camaraderie and understanding emerged, weaving a connection that transcended individual hardships. Together, they laughed at the charm of their reminiscences, their voices rising in harmonious choruses that echoed across the still water. Laughter mixed with the soothing sounds of the sea, creating a melody of shared human experience. Odysseus, observing this tapestry of emotions, felt a warmth in his heart. It was a testament to the strength of unity that had carried them through storms, both literal and that bound them together on this tranquil night. As conversations waned, an introspective silence fell over the group. They considered the nature of war and peace, reflecting on the battles they had fought and the moments of quiet they now cherished. It was a time for acknowledging the spectrum of experiences, a pause to contemplate the delicate balance between striving and surrendering. Amidst these reflections, a newfound appreciation for each crew member emerged, as they recognized the diverse skills and strengths that each brought to their collective endeavor. The sky darkened, revealing a tapestry of stars spread across the heavens. Under this celestial blanket, the tales of the evening began to give way to dreams of home. The sailors, filled with a gentle contentment, allowed themselves to be lulled by the rhythm of the ocean and the promise of Ithaca on the horizon. The shared stories had not only reinforced their bond, but had rekindled their spirits with the comforting warmth of familiarity and hope. Lights twinkled above as if assuring them that they were not alone in the vast expanse of the sea. In this peaceful interlude, the crew found renewed purpose, each sailor now tethered to the others by the invisible thread of shared history. With their hearts buoyed by the knowledge of the journey they had endured together, Odysseus and his men continued their voyage into the gentle night, each one dreaming of the life awaiting them upon their return. The sea was calm and the ship glided forward, guided by hope and stars, as Odysseus quietly considered the next steps of their epic voyage, a journey that was as much about the destination as it was about those who traveled beside him. As the night settled gently over the sea, the sky above unfurled a majestic canopy of stars. Odysseus, ever vigilant, took this opportunity to step aside and navigate by the celestial guides twinkling overhead. The constellations that had guided him through countless odysseys were a comforting sight, each star a beacon of hope and direction amidst the endless waves. His eyes traced familiar patterns, each representing a story of the gods and heroes of old, their light shimmering across the vast expanse of the sea. Recollections of past lessons in navigation filled his mind, stories and teachings imparted by mentors and learned among sailors. The skill of reading the stars was an art passed down through generations, each tale imbuing it with an aura of myth and lore. He remembered how mentors had taught him to find paths in the tapestry of the night, to let the stars mark courses where none could be seen. As he recalled these teachings, a calm certainty settled in his heart. Beside him, the ship's navigator joined, engaging in quiet conversation that carried the echoes of ancient knowledge. Together they spoke in hushed tones of the guidance the heavens provided, sharing observations and memories that highlighted their mutual respect for this age-old art. The conversation flowed like the gentle tide, each word a signal point as they confirmed their direction under the watchful eyes of the night sky. Their shared insights reinforced their faith in the path laid out before them. As the silence of the night enveloped them, Odysseus's thoughts drifted to Ithaca, his longed-for home, and the familiar star patterns that would escort him there. Memories of his homeland were tied intimately with the night sky, as if the stars themselves whispered tales of his past. Each constellation reminded him of moments spent under its light back home, of conversations long woven into the fabric of his memories. Their glow seemed to call out comfortingly, guiding him towards the land he yearned for. The crew, scattered across the deck, found solace in stargazing. Their eyes lifted to the cosmos, their spirits unified in a shared experience of wonder. There was a serenity in this night that encouraged quiet reflection, a momentary pause to connect with something greater than themselves, vast, silent, and beautiful. As they observed the myriad stars, their hearts were buoyed by a sense of fellowship that transcended words, a bond forged by shared voyages and dreams. Returning to a quiet and reverent observation of the celestial wonders above, each crew member became a silent witness to the night's magic. The luminescent map above them was both guide and comforter, ensnaring their dreams in a web of cosmic artistry. The ship sailed steadily, shadows drifting over moonlit waves as time slipped by unnoticed in the timeless dance of night and sea. As Odysseus pondered the significance of celestial navigation, he marveled at how the stars guided not just his ship but also his journey through life. They were unfaltering, each point of light a testament to constancy and perseverance. He reflected on how their guidance was quietly assured, an eternal presence leading him onwards to fulfillment. Under the constellation's gentle illumination, he understood the true value of wisdom, a wisdom that had steered him safely through countless trials. Within the glow of the stars, a sense of nearing home began to dawn upon Odysseus. In their eternal light, he saw the promise of Ithaca, a familiar whisper on the horizon of thought. The stars seemed to assure him that their journey, despite its length and hardships, was reaching its consummation. They were a celestial chorus, singing of the home that awaited and the peace that would come with it. The night carried on, a perfect passage through its quiet majesty, marking the end of another chapter in their journey. Yet within this darkness, Odysseus found clarity and direction, guided by the stars that never faltered, towards the shores of Ithaca, now drawing closer with each passing moment. As the gentle tendrils of dawn began to stretch across the sky, a golden light spilled softly over the open sea, signaling the start of a new day. Upon the deck of the ship, the air was filled with a languid anticipation, like a waking dream. The steadfast prow carved silently through the cool azure waves, heralding a promise glimpsed upon the ever-nearing horizon. Among the crew, eyes that had long grown accustomed to endless water now widened with wonder, for there, in the distance, lay the undulating shadow of land, their beloved Ithaca, gradually revealing itself under the warm caress of the rising sun. In this tranquil morning light, each sailor felt a surge of emotion stirring within, like the tides pulled by the moon. The sight of Ithaca, though still far, was enough to quicken the heartbeats and moisten eyes with tears of joyful relief. For Odysseus and his loyal companions, this was not merely land. It was the anchor of their hopes and dreams, a steadfast reminder of the lives and loves that awaited on familiar shores. The distant landscape stood as a testament to their perseverance, a canvas painted with their memories, urging them ever closer. Reflecting on the long and arduous journey that had brought them here, the crew found solace in shared stories, whispered like secrets between old friends. Tales were recounted of storms weathered and sirens silenced, of trials that tested every fiber of their resilience. Odysseus, standing near the prow, felt each word deepen the bond among them, each recollection sharpening the focus on their hard-earned triumph. Here, among the men who called him leader, the triumphs and tests of the past dissolved into a sense of shared history, witnessing the strength found in unity carrying them forward. Odysseus absorbed the moment quietly, his heart swelled with the gravity of 5 years spent yearning for this very sight. The dawning light bathed his face in soft warmth, mirroring the glow of hope rising in him. Here was the land he had longed to see, the place that had dwelled in his dreams and urged him ever onward through the darkest nights. Standing at the ship's fore, he bore witness to the rising sun's dance upon the water, a harbinger of peace soon to be found ashore. The air was alive with murmurs of encouragement, gentle vows exchanged among the comrades on deck. There was a promise unspoken between them, a commitment formed long ago and strengthened by every mile placed between them and home. Through the countless whispers of the sea and the guidance of stars, they had sailed unfaltering, led by loyalty and love. The anticipation of reunion filled their tired hearts with new life, the horizon a mirror reflecting all they had endured to return. This approaching moment was not solely a fulfillment for Odysseus, but felt deeply by each member of his crew, a shared victory over the seas and the shadows of the world. He turned to them, eyes glistening in acknowledgement of their tenacity and faith, spoken in deeds rather than words. The history they carved together sang in the air around them, binding them closer than even the ropes secure upon their vessel. With Ithaca now visible beneath the gentle sky, the pace of their journey slowed intentionally. There was no rush to claim the shores they had fought so hard to reach, for in this moment of nearing home, each breath was a treasure, each glance a treasure to tuck neatly in their hearts. Time seemed to stretch like the light across the water, brimming with unspoken promises and the certainty of stories yet to unfurl upon the land awaiting them. As the tender glow spilled purposefully over the seascape, anticipation mingled with fulfillment in the dawn's embrace. And through it all, Odysseus felt a profound peace settle within, where the essence of their journey lived on in whispering tides and shifting skies. With Ithaca looming ever nearer, an air of serene fulfillment enveloped the ship, as if the island itself harmonized in rhythm with the soulful echoes of their perseverance and love. The journey endured was etched into each heart present, a testament to the shared pursuit of home. With the knowledge of this peace carried within them, the sailors eagerly anticipated the touch of their homeland beneath tired feet. This journey, marked by the guidance of wisdom and an unwavering determination, promised a gentle homecoming, offered by the rising sun over the landscape they had longed to see. For Odysseus and his crew, the nearing shore promised a reunion with all that had been left behind, a peaceful new beginning upon familiar lands. As the sun continued its ascent into the clear morning sky, the vibrant landscape of Ithaca began to unfold before Odysseus and his crew. The golden light revealed every familiar ridge, slope, and grove, each a cherished memory brought to life after long months away. Wisps of soft clouds danced overhead, soon to dissolve in the warmth of day, while the sea's gentle waves guided the ship with a serene determination towards its long-awaited destination. It was as if the very elements conspired to usher them home under a benevolent sky. Guided by these gentle waves, the ship edged closer to Ithaca's welcoming shores. For Odysseus, the waves seemed to speak an ancient language he had almost forgotten, a rhythmic invitation whispering of peace and belonging. This stretch of coastline was more than just the boundary of his homeland. It was the threshold of his dreams and the cradle of countless aspirations. The subtle shifting of the sails as the ship sailed steadfastly towards the harbor mirrored the unyielding resolve in the hearts of those aboard, their voyage nearing its end with a promise of four tranquil beginnings. As the harbor came into view, scenes of everyday life unfolded before them. The residents of Ithaca, unaware of the legendary journey that had just concluded, went about their morning routines with a comforting regularity. Fishermen prepared their nets, children chased the morning tides, and merchants began to set up their stalls by the dock. It was a tableau of harmonious activity, a soothing balm for the weary souls aboard the ship. The anticipation built with each dip and crest of the vessel, as they neared the familiarity of home. With practiced hands, the crew moored the ship safely to the dock, their movements a silent celebration of both skill and survival. Quiet satisfaction mingled with a subdued euphoria as they stepped onto the solid ground of Ithaca, the transition from the rocking sea to the steady earth, bringing forth a flood of relief and contentment. There were no grand speeches or loud festivities, just a series of meaningful exchanges, handshakes clasped with unspoken gratitude, eyes meeting in recognition of shared triumphs. Odysseus took a moment to absorb the weight of their completed odyssey, a journey etched into the annals of myth and memory. Reflecting on their trials, he recognized the wisdom gleaned from each experience, lessons carried like treasures that would guide him through this new chapter of homecoming. Standing on familiar soil, he felt the profound connection to the island that had shaped him, every challenge faced weaving into the tapestry of his life. The dock, now a stage of personal reunions, brimmed with quiet joy and tearful smiles. Families reunited in tender embraces, years of longing dissipating in an instant, replaced by the comforting warmth of presence. It was a scene of human resonance where words were unnecessary, each whispered name a melody of belonging echoing against the backdrop of the morning sun. The gentle laughter and soft murmurs mingled with the rising tide, a lullaby of return and renewal. Odysseus quietly admired the familiar beauty of Ithaca. Each tree, pathway, and structure spoke of stories untapped, futures yet to be ventured. Beneath the blessing of the sun, the island seemed to pulse with life, a living testament to endurance and hope. The hills rose verdantly against the azure sky, symbolic of both the constancy and change that life brings. Here was the beginning of another journey, not of distant lands, but of deep-rooted peace. As the morning wore on, Ithaca embraced its returning sons with an openness only home could offer. Odysseus, enveloped in a sense of peace, acknowledged the power of wisdom and perseverance that had guided them safely back. His gaze swept across the familiar terrain, a silent vow to cherish the days ahead with the same dedication that carried them through turmoil. He felt the gentle pull of Ithaca, the island, the idea, and the reality of it, laying paths before him yet unknown. In the cool shade of the harbor's olive trees, Odysseus found a moment of solitude, a chance to reflect on the wisdom imparted by his journey. The serenity was profound, echoes of the past waves contained within the gentle lapping at the shore. With a soft, grateful heart, he stood aware of the new beginnings and subtle changes awaiting on familiar lands, ready to embrace the life he had so earnestly sought. As the sun continued its climb, casting warm hues of gold and green across the island, a feeling of calm contentment settled over Ithaca. It was a new dawn, a chance to weave stories not of heroic quests, but of the everyday beauty found within the embrace of home. With a peaceful sigh, Odysseus knew that amidst the tranquil hills and vibrant enclaves, peace had indeed found its resting place.